Larry ten Voorde has seen himself drop from the top of the points championship, which he was running away with by mid-season, and he's now down in P3 in the points, and he's got it all to do. Chatting to Larry last night over dinner, I said to him, what changed between now and the first part of the season? He says, if I knew that, I'd reverse it. And I felt very, very silly because it was the most obvious answer to the most obvious question. So Larry ten Voorde, who starts this race in P3, looking to make amends after a series of poor results and wants to get back to his winning ways. If you remember, he started the year off with 4 wins out of 5 and a P2, his worst result. Then he got to Nürburgring and the wheels started to fall off the wagon, quite literally. So, our pole sitter today is Julian Andlauer. Julian Andlauer, who is also our points leader. And he's looking to add to his win from yesterday with Mikael Ammermuller alongside. And as we start our formation lap, you can see 3 of the 4 front cars are Lechner Racing cars as they circulate around this 3.6 kilometre track, the Nürburgring, a track that is steeped in history and has a real old school vibe about it. Had 11 turns, 4 to the left and 7 to the right. About 7 metres of elevation change, so certainly a lot less elevation change than we've seen at the previous couple of rounds. The weather today, a little bit iffy if we're honest. We've had a lot of rain overnight, a lot of drizzle this morning. The forecast is that it's going to dry out, but there is the risk of some pretty heavy thunder showers as the day progresses. And you can see from that shot there that the sky is very leaden and very cloudy. We're looking at the grid. Larry ten Voorde on row 2, Dylan Pereira alongside. Row 3, Igor Veliko and Henrik Skoog, both having a much better weekend than they did last week at Zandvoort. Japland van Lagen, he was the star of last week, and Tony Wolff had a great day yesterday and finished in P4. Then Gustav Malja and Lucas Rettenbacher. And row 6, Joey Mawson making his debut here and really impressing with David Kolkman alongside. Row 7, Tim Zimmerman, yet another trip onto the gravel track alongside Jackson Evans, our leading rookie driver. Sandra Kaibach was on his roof last week and is now driving the car of Leon Kohler. Leon Kohler picked up a disqualification for his part in sending his teammate upside down at Zandvoort. And the wrecked Sandra Kaibach car is back in the garage and he has nobbled Leon Kohler. So Leon Kohler has been relegated to spectator for this weekend. Just talking about Joey Mawson, he's a driver who was in the Porsche Mobile Super Cup, and that's where he has most of his experience. Made his debut here in the Porsche Carrera Cup yesterday, and really did well for himself. And once again, turning a few heads as he starts on P11 on our grid. So there you can see the formation lap. Yesterday, these cars were absolutely hammering the curbs, jumping up, some of the cars getting 4 wheels off the ground. Really impressive stuff. Shows how forgiving these Porsche 911s are. And not easy to drive, I don't suppose, but certainly really putting on a good show around this Nürburgring circuit. And as the cars come down onto the pit straight, form up on the grid, hopefully with a bit of heat in the tyres, and air temperature today down to, actually up to 19.5 degrees. So actually a couple of degrees warmer than yesterday, but still fairly cool. And this formation lap, pretty critical to get heat into those tyres and into the brakes, so that when the cars come steaming into turn 1, as they will do very, very shortly, they can all make it around there. And that turn 1's quite tricky, almost a hairpin, with quite a steep camber on the exit of the corner, and creates some great overtaking opportunities already this weekend. So you can see the wind has also built up. There's a memory from Zandvoort from last week. The man at the back with the green flag says, yes, everyone's in position and it's looking good to go. We're waiting for those 5 red lights to go off. And we are running. It's Mikael Ammermuller who steps off pole position, but Julian Andlauer is quickest off out of the traps, and Julian Andlauer leads into turn 1. Third of the Lechner Racing cars, Dylan Pereira is third into the first corner. It looks like Larry ten Voorde taking a look on the inside and then the outside of the Dylan Pereira car. So Larry ten Voorde looking to address some of the issues that have seen him dropping down the points championship in the last couple of weeks. So there's Julian Andlau, our leader. Mikael Ammermuller in second. Dylan Pereira, once again, a Lechner 1-2-3, becoming a familiar sight here in the Porsche Carrera Cup. The rest of the field comes streaming through, 2, 3, 4 abreast. And we've got some action as Luca Rettenbacher has made contact with something or someone. He's parked it up on the grass. This could well bring out a safety car already. We are less than a lap down and Luca Rettenbacher has clearly been in the battles. Jackson Evans there on the outside of number 5 of David Coltman. And there's the number 50 car of Tim Zimmerman, also looking to find a bit of space. But at the front, Julian Andlau has already opened up a really good lead. So we can see the rest of the cars come streaming through. Still no notification about whether there's a safety car or not in relation to the Rettenbacher car. We keep an eye on that. But one lap in the books. And here comes Julian Andlau, Mikael Ammermuller, Dylan Pereira, Larry Ten Voorde. And the 67 car of Joey Mawson. Has he been impressing this weekend or what? And yes, here comes the safety car. We were kind of waiting for it. So the car's brought down to a slower pace. Luca Rettenbacher walks away from the wreck of the 92 MSG HRT Motorsport Porsche 911. And the safety car is deployed and everything is just brought back. We're going to have a little look at this and maybe we'll get an idea of what happened to Rettenbacher. And it looks like he turned across another... Wow, what an impact that was. Did you see how hard he hit the barrier? Gosh, I'm really pleased to see him walking away from that. And see the marshal jumping back. See the dent in the barrier. So looking on board from David Coltman, that was quite an impact. And got together... I'm not sure which car he got together with. I'm just having a look at a replay here. We can see Rettenbacher. It looks like he got Velico, who's on the inside. No, it's... which car is that? He's on the outside of it. But he goes in. Bang! Wow! That was quite a big impact. And I can't quite work out who it was that he made contact with. That wasn't entirely clear. One of the orange-coloured cars that was around him. And his afternoon well and truly over, and that's a real shame. There's the safety car, and he's ready to pick up the leaders as soon as they come round. So, 2 laps done, and already we have action. As Luca Rettenbacher has a very big impact with the barriers. So I'm just looking at the order and think it might have been Gustav Malja that he got together with. That's my thought. You can see Richard Wagner down there had yet another dreadful getaway. See the rest of the cars go streaming into that corner, funneling in. A lot of cars in a very small amount of space. And you can see that Andlau just steps off pole position, closes off Ammermuller and says, thank you very much, I'll have that. And Dylan Pereira locking into P3. And there go the rest of the field streaming through. Looking back, and we can see headlights blazing into turn 1. So that's looking back from Andlauer's car, obviously. Mikael Ammermuller, that's a view that he really didn't want to see. The back end of his teammate, the BWT Lechner Porsche. Closing him off into turn 1 and leading this race. On board with Larry Ten Voorde. See the car vibrating as he takes off. You'll see Dylan Pereira come scooting through briefly. And looking back at Jaap van Lagen, Mr. Excitement, having another exciting weekend by all accounts, and the ever-impressive Tony Wolff in the number 14 Porsche. And that is Luca Rettenbacher. Now we're looking ahead from Larry Ten Voorde. See just how hard he's having to work to hold on to that position. And I do beg your pardon, it wasn't Larry ten Voorde who had jumped into P4. It was Henrik Skoog. 2 cars, both from the same team, both in identical colours. But it was Skoog who had got the jump on Larry ten Voorde. So, my mistake. 2 identical cars, and it was Larry ten Voorde who had a poor getaway and Henrik Skoog who jumped in front. So, that just shakes things up a bit, doesn't it? There's David Coltman. And looking at the Joey Mawson car. David Coltman in the Black Falcon Racing Porsche. See the level of traffic in front of him. And Joey Mawson, who has just not put a foot wrong all weekend here, has qualified well and has raced well. And again, looking back, that'll be from Mikael Ammermuller's car. See Dylan Pereira coming up in his rearview mirror. And there's Henrik Skoog. So you can see the 2 identical cars. So it was Skoog who relegated Larry ten Voorde. Great job from Henrik Skoog. He's having a distinct improvement on what was a very lackluster weekend in Zandvoort just 7 days ago. So here we are under safety car. And notification the safety car will be in on this lap. And no further information about the Rettenbacher incident. We see that he's okay, so that's the important bit. Whether there'll be any fallout from that remains to be seen. In the meantime, the cars that have been crawling around will have cooled down slightly, so it's getting the heat back into the tyres and back into the brakes. And Julian Andlauer getting ready to try and catch Mikael Ammermuller napping. But Ammermuller's getting used to this. So here they come. Safety car is back into the pits. And around the final sections, around turn 10 and 11, the cars come, a big train of cars. And out of 11, onto the pit straight, and the green flag is waving once again. 25% of the race done, 5 laps out of 20. And Dylan Pereira looking on the outside of Mikael Ammermuller. Mikael Ammermuller just holding on to that position, almost letting Henrik Skoog through. So Henrik Skoog really pressuring Dylan Pereira as well. Not a lot between those front 4 cars, and Larry ten Voorde just sitting back and letting it unfold at the moment, but he'll be eager to get past his teammate and get stuck into the Lechner cars. So here's Andlauer, Ammermuller, Pereira, Skoog, ten Voorde, and Jaap van Lagen also in the line. Dylan Pereira looking increasingly under pressure from the number 20 car of Henrik Skoog. And that's the view of Henrik Skoog from the Larry ten Voorde car. So they continue on their way, 5 laps in the book. Larry ten Voorde looking eager to get past his teammate. See him riding the curb, the car's bumping up. Incredible stability of these Porsches as they go up onto 2 wheels, and you'd think they'd go spearing off in the opposite direction, but really stable and well set up cars. Here they come down the pit straight, a wonderful sight. We're having a look at a replay here, and this is Stefan Retkov on the outside of Alex Arkin Acker. And Acker not really giving him a lot of room. And Retkov going off into the runoff area. Fortunately, no harm done. And that's for position right towards the back of this field, looking back from Mikael Ammermuller at Dylan Pereira. And we've seen it as we see Skoog go right up on 2 wheels. We've seen the Lechner 1, 2, 3 several times already this year. And we did see at Nürburgring them all taking each other out. And Walter Lechner, not a happy man after that, has to be said. And yesterday, there was a little bit of contact between Pereira and Ammermuller. Ammermuller under no illusions as to who he thought was responsible for that, but Walter Lechner did not look like a happy man when they started driving into each other again, as we ride with Carlos Rivas. And Carlos Rivas who is looking on the inside of Reese Barr. So the Black Falcon Team Techstar car bumping across the curbs, and that's a great shot of him driving across the curbs. So lap 7 done, and we continue. Can see that Julian Adler's lead as the Huber team look on, wondering when Henrik Skoog and when Larry Ten Voorde are going to find a route past. There's Dylan Pereira. You can see the leading 5 cars are not breaking away from each other, so it's still a very intense battle going on, as again we ride on board with Carlos Rivas. I will see what the view is like from him. And it's the number 17 of Lucas Oertel who's in front of him. I didn't think it was Reese Barr. That's Lucas Oertel, so timing screens were just throwing up a different name there. But Carlos Rivas working hard to get past Lucas Oertel. Onto the inside he comes. There's a gap there. Can he make it stick? It's the drag race down to the next corner. Lucas Oertel comes across to shut the door on him. And of course, this is the battle for the lead in the amateur category. So Lucas Oertel bumping across the curbs. Carlos Rivas just monstering him all the way. So out of turn 11 they come onto the home straight again. Lucas Oertel in P20, Carlos Rivas P21. And he's very, very keen to get past. He's the leader of the AM Championship. He really wants that place. Sees a gap on the inside, Lucas Oertel. Oertel just comes across, slams the door in his face. And Carlos Rivas continues to put the pressure on. So, replay here, Larry Ten Voorde looking at the back of Henrik Skoog, bumping across the curbs. And there's a gap on the inside. Is he going to make it stick? Larry Ten Voorde alongside Henrik Skoog and through into P4. Can he shut the door and stop Skoog from coming back? Looks like he's done it. So, Larry Ten Voorde past Henrik Skoog and up into P4. So, the overdrive by Racing Huber teammates are swapped over. And now it's Larry Ten Voorde's turn to have a go at catching the Lechner cars. You can see the team looking on there, very, very nervous, as both of their drivers battle each other. Always a nervous moment for any team when your drivers start battling each other. There's Julian Andlauer, Mikael Ammermuller, Dylan Pereira, Larry Ten Voorde, Henrik Skoog, Jaap van Lagen. And replay looking from the front splitter of the Larry Ten Voorde car. See how close he gets to his teammate. And under braking, a very decisive move out of turn 11. And onto the pit straight, and through he goes. So great driving, great driving. Further back, there's Jean-Baptiste Simenauer in the number 27 car, and he's got Jackson Evans just in front of him. Now, Jackson Evans is our leading rookie driver and has really impressed this year as we look on from Tim Zimmerman, who is currently stationed just behind Jean-Baptiste Simenauer. So that's quite a fight that's going on there. Jackson Evans leading the points in the rookies and looking to increase that as Jean-Baptiste Simenauer gets it all wrong into the corner, steers left, steers right, bit of a tank slapper, and the Lechner racing car ends up pointing the wrong way on the runoff area. The rest of the cars come streaming through, and Jean-Baptiste Simenauer rejoins somewhere towards the back. So just getting it all wrong, under braking into that corner. Poor old Jean-Baptiste Simenauer is sent spinning. So here he is alongside Alex Arkanaka, back down in P25 now. So Jean-Baptiste Simonal quickly dispatching Alex Arkanaka on whoever overtook anybody on two wheels. And Arkanaka not really just letting him get away with it, keeping him well within his sights. The two of them on two, they pit straight. Simonal coming across to shut the door. Let's have another look at that. We can see, gets two wheels out onto the runoff area. You can see the spray kicking up as his right rear wheel gets onto that runoff area, and you just get an idea of how much water there is out there. And Simonal just spins off into the opposite direction. And that's taken the heat off Jackson Evans just a little bit there. Looking on board from Zimmerman, we just see, just gets his wheel out there, and there is no traction to be had. And the car just goes spearing off. And this is after it rejoined, overtaking on two wheels. Yes. Wonderful stuff to see these cars just flying over the curbs. Great racing. And Alex Arkanaka putting up a good fight to hold on to that position as best he can. This is our leaders coming through, and it's still Julian Andlauer, but he's only managed to get a 6/10 gap as we see the 66 car of Andreas Szczepanski. Looks like he's had a bit of an off as well. So 6/10 is all that Andlauer's managed to hold over Ammermuller, just under 7/10 now. So there's very little between them. And as we've often said, these cars, all identical Porsche 911s, not a lot between them. Overtaking not that easy. This is the Szczepanski spin, pretty similar to the Jean-Baptiste Simonal one, getting a wheel onto the wet stuff on the outside, and you can see the standing water that's there. And that's just off the racing line all the way round. And very, very easy to spin the car out. And that's exactly what Szczepanski's done there. So he rejoins a bit further down. And that's dropped him to P27. So not a great afternoon. Yeah, that's still the morning, isn't it? Not a great morning for Andreas Szczepanski. See him smoking the tyres there. And bumping across the curbs. That's our lead battle. The first dozen or so cars all in one shot. And that's a challenge for position. That's Igor Veliko, who's having a look at the back of the Gustav Malya car. So Malya making that car as wide as he can. And Igor Veliko, the car's just riding up over the curb. You can see from the graphics there that Veliko's been quicker on two of the last three laps and looking eager to get past. This is for P8, Gustav Malya, just holding that position down at the moment. But Igor Veliko really, really keen to get past. We see a couple of cars further back just ducking down to the inside as well as they continue to battle. That's Janis Fitcher and Berke Besler, and they're tussling over the back end of the field and going into turn one, and Besler tucks to the inside. So plenty of fights going on all the way through the field here. We're on lap 12 of 20. It would be nice if we actually got 20 laps in. The last few races we've had for the Porsche Carrera Cup have ended up being timed races because of safety cars, and so we're hoping we can go the distance on this one a little bit. So Besler monstering the Janis Fitcher car as they come up over the rise, and Besler almost touching the Fitcher car as they come into that corner. Round into the second section of the track. And this Nürburgring, a great track, but overtaking not always that easy, and keeping the car on the racing line is often enough to keep the car behind, particularly when they're this level, which the Porsche 911 series really is, as Berke Besler looks to the outside of Janis Fitcher. Fitcher moves across, and Reece Barr in the background as well. Reece looking to close in on them. Reece having his first event here at Nürburgring and enjoying driving here, but also finding it challenging as well because this circuit just has its own unusual peculiarities. We look at Joey Mawson in the 67 car. And again, Joey looking very, very competitive. And he's in the Porsche Mobile Super Cup. But he's currently in P7 here, his first ever event in the Porsche Carrera Cup, and really turning a few heads. So, Jaap van Lagen there, Joey Mawson. If he can find his way past Jaap van Lagen, that really would be something, because Jaap van Lagen is an experienced old dog and doesn't give up places very, very easily, and likes to create the excitement. We can see that Mawson has been closing in on him, but is it enough? And will he find the opportunity to get past as the first three, the Lechner cars, break away from the Huber cars? And as we see Nicholas Skoll into the pits, the Team Allied Racing Porsche looks like it's come to a stop. Looks like his afternoon is over, and it's all eyes on Hockenheim for the next round for Nicholas Skoll, because he's not going any further today, and that goes with a fairly poor 23rd position yesterday as Julian Andlauer starts to turn the heat up. No, he doesn't. Michael Ammermuller starts to turn the heat up on Julian Andlauer. So, going into turn one, whatever you do, chaps, don't take each other out. Ammermuller looks to the inside. Andlauer shuts the door. They're having to tread very, very carefully. The two teammates with a third one just behind. It's Julian Andlauer who leads the way. Michael Ammermuller now really turning the heat up. Lap times almost identical. The two pink BWT Lechner racing cars almost glued together. And Dylan Pereira in P3, also in the Lechner racing cars, probably hoping that they do get together so that he can sneak through and take the lead. So, Michael Ammermuller really pressuring and filling the mirrors of Julian Andlauer. Into the pits, that's Carlos Rivas. And that's not sounding too healthy. Looks like he's got a problem as well. So Carlos Rivas, who is our leading AM driver, comes into the pits. Looks like his afternoon is over. Let's have a look here. And this is that earlier incident, was it, with Lucas Ertel? He got past Ertel. And looking back at Lucas Ertel, don't know whether something happens here or not. No, we're just looking back at him, but in the pits now, shaking his head. And clearly all is not well there, and his afternoon is properly done, I would say. Andlauer still with Ammermuller filling his mirrors, cutting across into turn one. Really is the best overtaking opportunity on the circuit. Drivers tending to line each other up in the turn 10-11 chicane, coming down the pit straights together and then into turn one, which is where they can make it count. And Ammermuller clearly through that section closed right in on Andlauer again, and you can see almost pushing his rear quarter. And Andlauer having to be right on top of his game here to avoid allowing Ammermuller through. Under braking into the corner, keeping it tight. Andlauer just keeping it on the racing line. We're still looking at Carlos Rivas, hands in the air. Doesn't look like he's going anywhere quickly, does it? And looks like he's going to be getting out of the car, and his afternoon is over, and clearly he's pretty despondent about that. So Rivas out of the race. Good heavens, there's only just over 5 minutes left. Where has this half an hour gone? Julian Andlauer. Again, Michael Ammermuller just trying everything you think of. Two cars bouncing onto two wheels. Once again, Ammermuller's lined him up in the chicane and out onto the pit straight as we look at Carlos Rivas, really looking quite depressed. And we see Andlauer and Ammermuller just raced past our commentary box window. And there they are on your screen. Ammermuller looks to the inside. Andlauer moves across. Now, we've seen some drivers who have run quite deep into that corner, then cut back to the inside. And whether this works in the Porsche series or not, I don't know, because I'm not a driver. But Ammermuller will be starting to try and think of alternative routes of getting past Andlauer. So, still glued together. The Lechner team are probably in the pits, biting their nails. Are they going to make it a double 1, 2, 3 here at the Nürburgring this weekend. It was 1-2-3 yesterday, and it was Andlauer who won it yesterday from Dylan Pereira and Ammermuller. Andlauer looking to make it 2 out of 2. Lechner Racing looking to make it 2 out of 2. At the moment, just over 4 minutes left of this race, and it's looking very likely. As Restart goes through again, that is the Sandra Kaibach car. Sandra Kaibach, if you remember, driving the Leon Kohler car following the big crash last week at Zandvoort. And that's Stefan Raykopf in the 33 Huber Racing car. Rivas really not keen to go back into the garage. As the sight of a man who's clearly very depressed in the pit lane at the moment. And I wonder whether there's some issue there where he's not happy with somebody, because he's pacing around the place looking far from happy as Stefan Raykopf does the two-wheel trick out of turn 11 and onto the pit straight. And Ammermuller, here we go again, into turn 1. This is always the best opportunity. He's closer than ever. Sorry, not into turn 1. We're not quite there yet, but he is still closer than ever. So, having a look at a replay here, and that's Georgi Donchev with Alex Arkin-Acker getting all 4 wheels off the ground. Great stuff. Not a very quick way of getting around the corner, but enough look good. So 4 wheels off the ground, bouncing along. There's our leaders. They pulled well clear of third place Pereira now, and the 2 Huber Racing cars in 4th and 5th look pretty settled there, to be quite honest. Doesn't look like they've got anything for the Lechner team. And Dylan Pereira not looking like he's got anything for the leaders. And that's the number 2 car of Andlauer just holding on from Mikael Ammermuller. That was the closest Ammermuller had got yet. Down the pit straight. The nervous BWT Lechner team look on into turn 1. This is the big moment. Andlauer stays low. Ammermuller goes high. Under braking. He goes deep. Is he going to cut back underneath? No, he's not. Andlauer's got that covered. And into turn 2 they go. And still, Andlauer leads this. So, great driving from Julian Andlauer, really using all of his skill to keep Mikael Ammermuller behind him. So here they come, another lap done, that's 17 laps completed. Your leader, Julian Andlauer, Mikael Ammermuller. It's been like that from the beginning, but it's been by no means plain sailing for either of them. Dylan Pereira, a slightly distant P3, but still ready to pick up the pieces if these two get together. And then the man who could do no wrong earlier in the year, Larry Tenforder, back in P4 with his teammate Henrik Skog just behind him. But we are absolutely captivated by this battle. Really good stuff. Julian Andlauer braking again. Mikael Ammermuller still tucked up underneath. It's turns 10 and 11. Here we go. This is his move to the inside. No. Andlauer shuts the door once again. Surely now Ammermuller's going to slipstream him down the pit straight and try and get a move past going into turn 1. They come racing over the start-finish line. Ammermuller realises that time is running out because they're into the final lap. This is their last time into turn 1. Ammermuller goes high. Andlauer's got him covered. Now Ammermuller cutting back down to the inside. Andlauer comes across to cover him. Looking like he's got this one under control. Julian Andlauer still in the lead. He's got less than a lap now. And we just saw Ammermuller tuck into the inside. But Andlauer still holding on to that lead position. Ammermuller looking the quicker of the two, but can't find a route past. Look at him. And Dylan Pereira's closed in a little bit on them. Here comes Ammermuller again. He realises his time is running out. And he's got the ideas that now is the time to use them, because Julian Andlauer is on his way to his second victory in 2 races. Into the back section of the track. The 2 cars race still absolutely welded together. And it's a Lechner 1-2-3 once again as we go into the last half of this final lap. Julian Andlauer leading the way from Mikael Ammermuller. Dylan Pereira just behind, jumping over the curbs. Surely Julian Andlauer's going to keep it now. They're into the last couple of turns. Julian Andlauer comes out of turn 11. He sees the checkered flag in front of him. All he's got to do now is just hold off Mikael Ammermuller. He does it. It's Julian Andlauer who wins the Porsche Carrera Cup Race 2. Mikael Ammermuller in second. And Dylan Pereira making it a second. 1, 2, 3 for BWT Racing, BWT Lechner Racing at Nürburgring this weekend. Larry Tenforder holding on to come home P4 from Henrik Skoog, and Jaap van Lagen from the ever-impressive Joey Mawson ahead of Igor Veliko, Gustav Malja and Tony Wolff. Rounding out the top 10, and quite rightly, fists in the air for Julian Andlauer. Did a great job holding on to take a well-deserved win, and that's Larry Tenforder still wondering what he's got to do to get back to the level he was at the start of this year. P4, by his standards, is relatively low, and although it's better than he's managed for a couple of races, it's still not where he wants to be. And suddenly, that runaway championship that he had earlier on in the year is just a distant memory. So, the show of power from the Lechner Racing trio. Julian Andlauer takes the win from Mikael Ammermuller, Dylan Pereira, Larry Tenforder, Henrik Skoog, Jaap van Lagen, Joey Mawson and Igor Veliko rounding out the top 8. You can see your positions 9 through to 16. Gustav Malja, Tony Wolff doing well again. Jackson Evans, our leading rookie from David Coltman, Tim Zimmerman, Berkay Besler, and the remaining places you can see coming through your screen there. A couple of non-finishes there, in fact 4 non-finishes. Carlos Rivas, we saw Nicholas Skoll, Luca Rettenbacher and Richard Wagner continuing his run of bad luck that he seems to be having at the moment. And that's the points championship. So Julian Andlauer opening it up to 23.5 points over his teammate Mikael Ammermuller, and 43.5 ahead of our earlier leader Larry Tenforder, and Dylan Pereira tucking up in P4. Surely the championship is between the top 3 now, because there are now only 4 races left for the 2019 Porsche Carrera Cup season. So Julian Andlauer must be starting to think about it, and their sign writers are going to have to go and paint another trophy on the roof of that pink Porsche. So Andlauer, great job. Mikael Ammermuller did everything he could. Andlauer goes round, congratulate his teammate. You can see the 4 trophies on the Ammermuller car. Well, there'll be another one on the Andlauer car. So, great racing from the Porsche Carrera Cup, and really exciting stuff. Really entertaining us here at Nürburgring, and actually, genuinely really excited to see them again at Hockenheim, because the Porsche Carrera Cup will be back on the 14th and 15th of September at Hockenheim, where this battle will resume. And Overdrive Racing by Huber will be looking to see what they can do to somehow get Larry Tenforder in front of the Lechner cars, because at the moment they're running out of ideas, and they're also running out of time. Mikael Ammermuller never looking particularly ecstatic when he comes anything less than P1, but then I guess that's what makes him a racing driver. Julian Andlauer and Dylan Pereira rounding out the other 2 in the Lechner Racing top 3. Well done, chaps. as Walter Lechner congratulating two of his drivers as they walk through. Quick jump on scales and then up for the podium presentation. Cars will be shipped off into Parc Fermé, or they'll be checked over, then boxed up and sent over to Hockenheim, where hostilities will resume. You can see the wind there, see the flags blowing. It's the wind building up, and pleased to say the rain stayed away for this Porsche Carrera Cup race. And there's a wonderful facility here at Nürburgring, just at the side of the old Nordschleife, the North Loop track, which is still available to drive around at the small price of about 20 euros. You can take your car around the old Nordschleife, well worth doing, 12.9 miles. As we see a replay of Andlauer crossing the finish line and picking up the checkered flag. Not bad for a Sunday morning's work, I'd say. And a lot of the other drivers just wondering what they've got to do to stop these Lechner drivers. Utter dominance. So, the second hat-trick in succession. It was a 1-2-3 yesterday, and it's a 1-2-3 today. Pereira crossed the line in P2 yesterday, and he was in P3 today. Ammermuller crossed the line in P3 yesterday, and he's in P2 today. The one thing that hasn't changed is the winner, Julian Andlauer, who really is becoming the man to beat as he stretches his legs at the top of the points. And the Lechner team, understandably delighted as they look on. And great shot of Julian Andlauer. Very, very pleased with his work for the afternoon. So the replays will be over shortly, and we'll be getting ready for the podium ceremony. There was P3 for Lechner Racing, Dylan Pereira. P2 went to Michael Ammermuller for BWT Lechner. And there's your winner for BWT Lechner, bouncing across the curbs. Julian Andlauer takes the win. Race 2 of the Porsche Carrera Cup here at Nürburgring. So just grabbing a drink, and we're ready for the podium presentation. There goes Julian Andlauer, the winner of the race. This is getting a little bit of a habit. An all-pink podium, Julian Andlauer on the top step. Walter Lechner looking on with pure happiness. Handshakes around. And here's Dylan Pereira. And representative from Lechner Racing. And now the national anthem. A bit of snooping there on Walter Lechner's phone, taking pictures that he will never forget as they receive the trophy from Matthias Roth. Dr. Matthias Roth. First place trophy. Our second place trophy comes from Thomas Ola. Here comes our P3 trophy from Rui Isaac from Porsche. And team trophy. Kevin! That must be Kevin then. Oh, I feel that they may have picked on him. Yesterday, there was clearly a jump start when Walter got the entire team. Looks like there was revenge here as the entire team get Kevin. You're going to need a shower, mate. So, cheers, everybody. That was good, wasn't it? What a great race. So, now that they're all covered in champagne, we'll have the photos. It's a 1, 2, 3 for Lechner Racing. Can anybody stop them? It's starting to become a bit of a doubt, isn't it? Find out. Hockenheim. We're all going to come back. We're going to see if they can be beaten. Join us then. Why don't you? 14th of September. We look forward to seeing you then. Bye-bye.